Brittany Trout joins us now on the Oakland County Megacast. Brittany, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. How's the team over at West Bloomfield Parks doing?
We're doing good. I think, like everyone else, it took a second to get into a groove and just adjusting and making the best with what we have. And I am really happy with where we're at and what we've been providing for our community so far.
Brittany, I know the West Bloomfield Parks has been a lifeline for so many people during this pandemic. You guys have been extremely busy, but just because the weather is going to be turning a bit cooler doesn't mean the fun's going away. You have a lot of things planned for the fall. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so just because the weather, like you said, is getting a little chilly doesn't mean we can't layer up. And our fall program and schedule is busy. A few of our programs we're offering are virtual along with in-person too to meet the COVID guidelines. So to run off some of those, one is camping in a bag. So you get to camp at home in your backyard. And we also provide some wonderful interactive programs to do. We also have our group hayrides, which take place at our Marshbank Park. And that one's just a little different. It is a group, so you're going to pick your best bunch of 20, and you'll come to the park, enjoy a hayride and some good warm cider along with a snack. We also will have our Park to Treat to Go, and that is now going to take the place of our Trick or Treat Trail, which I hope our residents are super excited about. We unfortunately won't be able to do Trick or Treat Trail, but Park to Treat to Go is going to have kiddos come to our recreation activity center. You'll be in your car, you'll check in, and then you'll be able to get out of your car in the parking spot behind you and show off your costume. And then the treats get to come to the kiddos. So we'll have a character parade, and that will be supported with costume characters, local and non-profit businesses around our area to come pass out treats. We also have our Heroes Appreciation too, and that's in November. So those are a few of our upcoming events you guys can keep a lookout for.
So what's it like to be in a brainstorm session to try to figure out how to revamp some of these programs?
It can be daunting at times, but it's actually fun. We get into a groove of understanding our events each year back to back, and you get to make those small adjustments. So now you get to come with a different mindset, a different challenge. And so as long as you have a good mindset, a good team with you, you'll be able to figure it out. And luckily here at West Bloomfield Parks, that's exactly what we have. You'll have a programmer sit down and you'll run off some ideas. And we've taken our guidelines with what we feel comfortable with, along with following the COVID-19 guidelines too, to make sure that we're protecting our community, but still offering some fun opportunities for people to still experience some recreation opportunities and get outside. And through that, it's still challenging, but honestly, it's a good little mix up compared to what we're always running. So I hope that answers that for you.
And it's got to provide some inspiration, too, for in the future. As you're planning these events now, with COVID-19 in mind, you're trying to make them fun for a variety of people, families, and just general people as well. But does that provide any insight into things that you may be bringing into your regular programming schedule in the future as a result of what you've learned over the course of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think some things we'll definitely take away is we can honestly roll with anything that we're given. I believe that this challenge right now was really hard because if you're taking a look at it, right, we have to somehow talk to our customers and participants and say, we want you to enjoy, but also please stay social distance away from others, or if you come into contact. And so just making sure that we're able to communicate properly and that those who want to be at our events are also able to. It goes to show that the community does want events to happen and that they will support us as long as we're to making sure that we're safe and following the guidelines that need to happen. And usually our events are larger. So now to scale them back and have these stipulations, I think that makes us ready for maybe at some point, if we are able to have larger crowds, that we'll still have those stipulations and guidelines with us. And so it is preparing us for the future.
Yeah, I think going through this pandemic, we will never go into a large group setting the same without at least what, like 20 things of hand sanitizer with us and this, that, and the other. I think the good thing about the parks, you guys do have over 500 acres, so it does allow for you to be creative. But I wonder, what's the feedback been from some of the parents that are now being more involved with their kids? So instead of maybe handing them over to you and your staff to explain things, parents are now taking your information virtually and trying to share it with their kids one-on-one. Are you getting a positive feedback from some of the parents for that?
Yeah, and I really want to thank our nature staff first off, because when we first came into this, we relied heavily on them. And through our nature programs, which were virtually with the parents who typically came, they were ecstatic to still have something that was previously back before COVID-19. It was just a little different. And so they were able to either see the live animals, we were doing fun facts, and Lauren, Mrs. A, was on along with our two new nature staff to help really still be there for our crowd who typically wanted to be there. And then two, it also attracted new people. And we did receive good feedback and just everyone being super grateful. And that honestly kept us going. And we just wanted to make sure that we were there for the community.
Brittany,
So Brittany, I'm sorry,
go ahead,
Tyler,
Mom.
do you want to go? So Brittany, you had mentioned about the hay rides, groups of 20. Do you have to know your 20 people? How does that work? And do people need to register? Are there only so many dates and times available?
Yeah, great question. So for the hay rides, there are certain dates. It would be October 14th, 15th, and the 16th. And you'll sign up for a time slot that runs between 4 to 7:30, and they're 30-minute increments. So between that time I said before, you can pick what time slot would work best for you. And so yes, because it's a group setting, it is up to you to pick the best of your bunch, is how I like to say it. So we would recommend that it should be people that you're comfortable with, because you are on the hayride and you may not be able to sit 6 feet apart. We wanted to make sure that the person who is signing up, or the family, or the group that is signing up, that they are comfortable if we are outside in a setting and we're not exactly 6 feet apart, that I am comfortable sitting with my niece or nephew, my grandson, because we have been doing COVID-19 together. So it is up to the participants and who they feel comfortable with to bring on. And like I said, it is up to 20, but you could have less. You could do 15. And the price is different from what it's previously been, but when you break it down per person, it comes down to $5. So that was our math and thinking behind that. And again, we just want people to be comfortable, and we still want to be able to offer these timeless opportunities during the fall that we typically have. We just have to do it in a little bit of a different way. And so that being said, that's why we have another day added on to hopefully accommodate for more people in the groups.
I think that's a great way to do it. Plus, it allows for you to be with it's almost like your private hayride, right? With your group of your friends and your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brittany Trout with us. She is the recreation programmer over at West Bloomfield Parks. And Brittany, you talk a lot about the feedback you've gotten from families so far and from other people that have attended some of these virtual events and other in-person events during the pandemic. What are the people of West Bloomfield and surrounding areas that also engage with West Bloomfield Parks programming looking for during this time? And how is West Bloomfield Parks adjusting their programming and maybe even adding new programs to accommodate those needs and desires, albeit with COVID-19 in mind?
Yeah. So for program-wise, the way we've adjusted during this time is going virtual. And I really want to give a shout out to the fact our Tai Chi instructor, she has now gone virtual. So our Tai Chi typically attracts our senior group, and as we all know, it's been tough for the senior group. They've been more restricted, and this was one way that we wanted to be able to help still be with our seniors here in our community. And Tai Chi was one of the ways that we did that, along with offering other virtual classes. And upcoming soon, we are going to add more free virtual items too. We'll have our senior newsletter go out at mid-October. It will be mailed, but it will also be available online. So we have now shifted our thinking to online, but also we're still able to keep our in-person events. We're just scaling them back and making sure that whether it's curbside pickup or it's coming to an event here, that it is taking place outside and that participants do have a mask on them just in case you do come in close contact with either us, the programmers running the event, or if you're in contact with someone walking around, if you're going to use the restroom, that you can have your mask and keep yourself protected along with others. So with that being said, those are some of the ways we've adjusted, but now we've been able to kind of get into a new normal and set ourselves up for a fall that I think is going to be really well off, and it'll be a treat. We are able to offer and provide for all different areas, and I hope if you guys are interested, you would check out wbparks.org for our events, not only in person but virtually, and then also some mix of other programming.
You do have so many awesome events. Brittany, I have to wonder, are you doing the virtual events via Zoom? And if so, what was it like to try to teach some of the seniors how to use the program? Because I even remember when I first got on, I was a little confused. And I've done some social media classes for seniors, and like just trying to explain a hashtag was it took a little bit of patience, you know. So how was that like to try to teach them to get on board with the technology?
I can speak from my coworkers' experience. I have unfortunately not experienced that myself. Our programmer here, Amy, though, she was really in charge and led the way with helping with what we like to call our tech issues. So when she was getting up and running our programs that were online, we had sat down and made a list of tips and tricks. So you had this list you could go in on Zoom and you would know if someone asked you a question, how to help with that. Also with coming up with a game plan too. Asking your instructor, can we do a test run before? And it would be a quick, maybe 5-minute test run to make sure that your audio, your sound, and the camera is working. And so once the instructors were comfortable, then they were able to reach out to participants and let them know. And I do know that a couple of our instructors were able to help, but Amy, we had a hotline basically. If a participant was having trouble with Zoom, they would call our number and they would get to speak to Amy, and Amy would help troubleshoot and explain to them how everything worked and answer any of their questions. So just like doing anything new, right? There's always going to be that learning time and learning curve. And now that we're in a rhythm, we have had less tech support needed. So our seniors and our parents are all in a groove now, and they know how to work it, how to mute themselves if their sound isn't working, along with our instructors are really ready for anything that Zoom could really throw their way. And now everyone too is also very understanding that there may be some lag time, something may pause, which is also always a great sense to know that our participants are understanding. And it comes back to just being happy that something is going on, something is being provided, and that there may be a little glitch here and there, but nothing that we can't figure out.
Brittany Trout with us. She is the recreation programmer over at West Bloomfield Parks, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast. And Brittany, just a few more minutes with you before we do let you go. You mentioned earlier the Heroes Appreciation event that happens each year. Usually it's an in-person breakfast. It's been at the Orchard Mall. We've done some coverage of it and even a live broadcast of it before, but this year it's certainly going to be a little bit different. Can you give us any details on what this year's event will be like?
Yeah, this year's event is going to be virtually and also curbside. So there's 2 dates to recognize with this event. So the first date is for our veterans to sign up and they can receive a free meal and they'll want to register at WV Parks. But on November 6th, they will come curbside at the Recreation Activity Center to receive their free meal. And then we're going to ask everyone to tune in on November 11th because we'll have our lovely mega guests there. And we will be providing a lovely Zoom that will go over to appreciate some past veterans, other community members, and really just show our appreciation for those. So this one is kind of a two for one. There's that meal for the veterans, like we typically did it was at Orchard Lake Mall, but now it will be enjoyed at their home. And then on the 11th is when we'll do our Zoom to show our appreciation.
It is so awesome that you guys continue to support the community and come up with new ways to show that support. Brittany, I have a question. It's kind of a personal one, so you can answer or not answer.
Okay.
How did you get, for people who are watching, you seem like you have a fun job. How did you get into it and what's your day-to-day like?
Yeah, so I'll try and keep it short, but I originally I went to college. It was for something else, but now I'm here at the recreation. So I was able to find my way because I took my summer to do a summer job, and then looking for my big girl job, I was just reading applications. And once I read what the job entailed, and I could tell from what the atmosphere and what the mission and goals was, it just lined up. It was something I wanted to do from my past experience. In college, I was working with campus life and doing other things, so I always knew that I liked working with the community. And then I was just able to read the description. I applied, and I really think to my interview when I came in, just the smiling faces and the way that they asked the questions, it was still an interview, but I was still able to see like, oh, I would really like to work with them, and talking about different scenarios too, that just opened up like, oh, this is right, this is good. It is really fun and there is work, but there's a good balance to both. So I'm very appreciative that I'm here, and also my coworkers and the community here are amazing.
Well, we're lucky to have you here in West Bloomfield as part of the West Bloomfield Parks Division. Such a great asset to all of us here in the community. And thank you for doing all of the great things that you are doing as well. Before we let you go, is there anything we didn't ask you? As I get personal with you, you're like, yeah, okay. Anything we didn't ask you that you want to get out there?
No, I just really want to say thank you all so much to everyone, and I hope that everyone, even though it is a tough time, that we can remember that there are opportunities out there for us, and if we work together, there's always something that we can do, and there is somewhat of a light we can find, whether we create it or we just go out to enjoy it.
Well, Brittany, we thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.